Welcome to Lamad in Artificial Intelligence Forum, and welcome to His Excellency Dr. Ali bin Amr al-Shaydani, Undersecretary for Communications and Information Technology, Ministry of Transport, Communications and Information Technology, and welcome to His Highness Sayyid Dr. Fahad bin al-Janda al-Saeed, the Vice Chancellor of Sultan Qaboos University. And welcome to our honorable guest. I'm Shifa Hamid. I will introduce for you an event organized by the Innovation and Technology Transfer Center. In our gathering today, you will hear a lot about the term Lamad. So what is Lamad? Where did it come from? And what its relationship to artificial intelligence? So let's dig deeper and understand what Lamad is. Lamad is an Omani term that refers to the village sun clock that runs the traditional irrigation system to grow the farms, and it consists of three parts. First, the sun generates the energy, and light represents the academia that generates knowledge and innovation. Second, the probe refers to the government support and regulations as the knowledge diffusing facilitator. Third and finally, the stones represent the various fields of technology in the industry who are acquiring this knowledge. Lamad event aims to foster the economic growth and flourishing the industry through academic government industry partnership. So the academic government industry linkage is the effective tool toward knowledge economy. It is the essential element for stimulating innovation through linkage and eventually industrial growth in developed countries. Studies have shown that the dynamic interactions between the academia and industry is one of the important strengths in progressing any innovation system. Lamad is an annual event which presents a series of events that aims to link the academic research to share their output of research with the industry in a specific technological field. A one-day event, Sultan Qaboos University will bring the key players from government, industry, and academia to discuss a specific technological field in one place. To be clear, the objective is to formulate a synergy between the three sectors to establish a dialogue, to share, and thus expand their views about the technology that will assist in creating short-term and long-term collaborations. Eventually, this will establish an academic government industry partnership that will lead to identify comprehensive strategic vision for all three sectors. So, ladies and gentlemen, now His Highness Sayyid Dr. Fahad bin al-Janda al-Saeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, now His Highness Dr. Amr al-Shaydani. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with welcome and introduction speech with Dr. Amr bin Saif al-Hanai, Deputy Vice Chancellor. طالع خلاص هو اوكي
نبدأ بسم الله.
بسم الله.
طيب
We invite دكتور علي الشيداني please to start.
دكتور علي تفضل.
انا ولا دكتور عامر؟
لا ساعتك تبدا، انت تبدا ساعتك قبل. تفضل
احنا الاثنين نفس الشيء.
لا ابدا. تفضل دكتور، تفضل ساعتك.
اوكي شكرا جزيلا. Thank you for inviting me to this special event. Lamad is playing a key role in linking industry, academia towards common research goals and innovation activities. So I'm very happy to patronage this event. And I'm also happy to see the list of speakers, renowned speakers in the area of AI. I can see few colleagues from Sultan Qaboos University, other colleagues from PDO and TRC before as well. So I would like to welcome them all to the session. And I also welcome my colleagues from MTCIT. I hope they will also give you a brief about what the ministry is doing with regards to AI and the advancement of AI in the country. So Lamad is a fantastic opportunity for academia, research, and industry to come together to discuss challenges, issues, and future solutions. The theme this year on artificial intelligence is very timely. There is a world race around artificial intelligence, and there are so many things that needs to be done for Oman to catch up to this race in artificial intelligence, including capability building, research, innovation, actual projects, legislations, and regulations as well. So I wish this session all success, inshallah, under the leadership of Sahib Samu Sayyid Fadi Jalanda, chairman of the university, and Dr. Amr Al-Hinai, who is leading innovation and research at the university. So wish you all success, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, and looking forward for productive discussions, bi'idhnillah. Shukran jazeelan.
شكرا سعادتك جزاك الله. So shall we move to my speech or we wait for the... Okay, probably I need... طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلق الله محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Your Excellency Dr. Ali Shidani, Under Secretary for Communication and Information Technology, Minister of Transport, Communication and Information Technology, Excellencies, Honorable Guests, Researcher and Professionals from government and industrial sectors, specialists in artificial intelligence, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I welcome you all to Sultan Qaboos University Lamad event, which is a unique gathering of stakeholders and experts in artificial intelligence from across Oman, academia, industry, and government sectors. As you are all no doubt aware, an effective national innovation system is one that has developed an efficient network built through the triple helix of competitiveness. Achieving this requires enhancing the capacity of the three contributors of universities, industry, and government to the innovation system. University always act as innovation hub and knowledge generator. At their best, they allow scientists from different disciplines to share their ideas so as to develop new and innovative technologies. In support of these outcomes, in recent years, Sultan Qaboos University has made a number of attempts to reduce the gap between industry and academia. The university fully recognizes the importance of innovation and technology transfer, including first by setting creativity and innovation as a domain in the university long-term strategic plan 2016-2040, and secondly by the establishment of the innovation and entrepreneurship department to manage innovation, intellectual assets, and the commercialization of research through technology transfer and industry linkage. Today, we witness the Lamad Technology Forum as a step forward, achieving strong industry, academia, and government linkages to ensure that research in universities in the Sultanate is oriented to market demands while also being aligned with national priorities. Thus, we can be assured that mutual collaboration between entities involved will result in high levels knowledge spillovers, which will help tackle key economic challenges of Oman. I wish you all the best of luck in creating successful platform for dialogue between industry, academia, and government in financial technologies. Thank you very much.
ماشي فيديو. Thank you, Mr. Many thanks to Dr. Amr Al-Hanai. Now with Mr. Ed White, Head of Clarivate Analytic in United Kingdom, we will have a review of the patented research ecosystem in the MENA region and globally.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you to the Lamad event team and Sultan Qaboos University for the invitation to speak to you all today. As introduced, my name is Ed White. I lead the analytics group here at Clarivate. For those of you that don't know, Clarivate is an 8,500 colleague, almost $2 billion company that has a really simple and focused mission around supporting researchers everywhere, all around the world, with information sources that will enable them to come up with new ideas and bring those new ideas to market. My topic today is to take a look at the artificial intelligence research ecosystem, both globally and within the MENA region, but from a specific angle of research, and that is that which exists within global patent data. The work that I'm going to be showing you this morning was performed in conjunction with SQU, and I would be remiss not to thank them for the opportunity to speak to you today and to use these data sets with you today. You are likely all familiar with the basic tenets of a patent and the international patent system, where somebody files a patent application by an inventor, or their employer. It's then examined by government agencies to see whether it meets the requirements for patent protection, whether it's, has it been seen before or is it brand new? Is it an obvious extension of previous technical innovations, and does it have a real world use? And then if all of those things are true, then hopefully your patent application will issue as a granted patent, providing an intellectual property asset that the owner can use to prevent other actors from using their technology. This is a process, it's very well known. I'm sure you're all fairly familiar with that process. And the reason it exists is that it incentivizes the allocation of capital to research. It provides a way of converting the brain power of scientists and engineers into some form of return. Perhaps less familiar is the reason that governments around the world actually provide this facility, which is transparency. The patent system has a separate value to society, has a separate value to you as researchers. And frankly, that is around the patent documentation itself. As part of the validity requirement when a patent is filed, it is required to teach how the invention works and how it can be used. That second facet of the patent system is intended to shift the launch point for a new idea or for new research or for new thinking from base theory of science and engineering, so the laws of biology, physics, chemistry, or in the case of Lamad, computer science. It shifts it from that base theory to just the last patent application that's been published. And that means that patent information is an enormous resource for understanding the state of innovation at a macro level, and indeed within specific research disciplines. This is not a small or rarely used facility. It is a vast resource of many millions of ideas and inventions that can, if organized, act as a guide to what is going on. This is the work of my team. It's the work of the advisory and analytics team at Clarivate, and it's the underlying principle of patent analysis. Using these data sources alongside the know-how of you, the know-how of researchers active in the field, provides a way of not just discovering what has been protected, but the shifts in approach and the likely shape of research that's still to come. Our work here saw the extraction and evaluation of 114,000 individual inventions related to AI research as they've been patented around the world. One of the more interesting and useful dynamics within any field of research, and evident within the global AI space, is that innovation almost always follows a similar pattern of evolution and development, and a development pathway that's pretty much the same in all technologies. Whatever field you want to look at, mobile communications, battery technologies, display technologies, or indeed AI topics, the shape of global innovation development is consistent. It starts with low-level interest, There then comes an inflection point where where the interest starts to steer towards fast growth in research output, followed usually by a second inflection point as aggregate research turns towards iterative improvement or maintenance of that technology, followed finally by a flattening of the curve as the technology reaches obsolescence. This curve, the S curve, it's well known, and it's a useful tool at multiple levels. It's useful at the aggregate, at the macro level. It's useful at the specific feature, the micro level, or it could be the application of technologies into different sectors. And one area that's an area of active research for Clarivate at the moment, it could be S-curve analysis around technology benefits or needs analysis. Within the AI sector, global patented innovation measured at the invention level has clearly passed the first inflection milestone and is currently in a state of fast growth. Based on the shape of the curve, the second milestone, the second turn towards iterative improvement is not likely within the next few years. Therefore, allowing us to a prediction of continued fast improvement in technologies in the AI sector. At a macro level, this prediction and the fact that AI has passed the first inflection only in 2014, 2016 means that the opportunity for research and commercialization is very high. This is a field that is developing very quickly. Individually, of course, there are many overlapping and intersecting subcurves, such technologies such as fuzzy logic or deep learning, machine learning, natural language processing, or indeed the application of AI techniques to real-world industrial or consumer use cases that will all follow their own individual development pathways. This type of analysis is available in more detailed research. Also notable, of course, is the commercial or competitive ecosystem at work in this curve. Of the 114,000 inventions modeled in this process, almost 16% of them come from just 5 companies: IBM, Microsoft, Google and its parent and its affiliates, Samsung and Intel. IBM alone contributes 7% of AI patented research. If we bring this to the MENA region, we need to be aware that the innovators here represent 0.2% of global activity in AI patented research. This indicates to me, from my perspective, a focus more on academic research contribution rather than the more applied and commercial research that tends to occur in patent data sets. It is worth noting, however, that even when comparing the macro global view versus the local situation, the S-curve is still maintained, indicating that comparators are valid, despite very large differences in scale. Though, as ever, the laws of small numbers means a close eye on interpretation is needed. Taking the view and baseline of the global versus MENA, we can review the areas of focus within AI. All patents are, as I said at the beginning, all patents are required to teach their invention. And that means that as documents, they contain significant information on the nature of the invention, its technical or industrial use, or even why the invention was perceived as needed. What did it solve? Here we're reviewing a technical structure placed over the 2 cohorts, global and MENA specific, that covers many of the different flavors and applications of AI technology. The source of this structure was the SQU subject matter experts alongside subject matter experts at Clarivate and implemented using data mining techniques. The hot topics, or the ones with the highest level of innovation activity, are deep learning and supervised machine learning techniques and use cases around machine vision, natural language, and human-machine interfacing. From a sector perspective, the prime industrial applications of AI include safety and security, healthcare and pharmaceutical, and the financial system. While the scale of activity within the MENA region is much lower, the distribution of research focus is actually very similar. What we've done here is to focus in on those differences, we've just added a meta-analysis you can see here on the right of the screen, which shows us the focus in the global view plotted against the focus in the MENA region. And this gives us the ability to look at the highest levels of variance, and we can see greater global focus in deep learning, predictive techniques, natural language processing techniques compared to MENA activity. Conversely, MENA has a greater focus on generic machine learning, the application of AI to safety and security, and the healthcare verticals. Going further on that theme, there is evidence in this view of a bias in the MENA region towards application, towards industrial use of AI techniques into specific sectors, with lesser emphasis on the techniques themselves. And this is a potential indication of MENA research having a tendency towards implementation. The green dots tend to be above the XY line. The purple data points tend to be at or below the even distribution line. Just to enumerate that a little bit more, MENA activity has close to double the level of focus in the industrial application topics we reviewed compared to global activity, with a couple of notable exceptions: smart assistance, the automotive industry, the financial industry, industrial automation, and weather prediction. For researchers and policymakers in this region, this type of analysis raises a series of further questions. Is AI implementation, potentially leveraging the techniques and technologies developed elsewhere, the correct pathway? Is it reflecting the strategy that you are wanting to follow? Or are there gaps in this ecosystem that are candidates for exploitation? Clearly, this data evidence is just a starting point for that, for much of that kind of innovation observatory investigation. And as research pathways very rarely meet a full stop, it's one that benefits from an ongoing monitor. Just briefly, I want to show you that you can get good guidance on the nature of those future research pathways by reviewing the innovation landscape for high levels of intersection, or indeed low or zero levels of intersection. Again, this view is just comparing the global view with the MENA view, and it looks at the technical and industrial nature of the inventions in this investigation and how they can be assessed for how often each co-occurs within the same invention across these different categories. Heat in this view represents focus, lack of color represents gaps, and gaps very often represent opportunity. So it could be unmet need, unthought of design, or unthought of application of technologies, but we also need to be aware of potentially unneeded design or technical unfeasibility. Reviewing this information for widespread gaps, we see that the deployment of unsupervised or reinforcement learning machine learning algorithms is generally much lower level than supervised and deep learning. And this is a gap that's evident across both the global view and the MENA view. Is there opportunity there? Is there potential for a carve out and a solution to a need? So to conclude, the current status of AI globally is one of fast growth, a phase of development unlikely to change in the next few years due to the momentum in the innovation evolution trend, and it's a significant opportunity for the application of these techniques. The MENA activity profile, while lower in volume, very closely follows that global trend. We do see differences in approach to patent activity within MENA, primarily one of a minor bias towards application of AI technologies generally, but with one specific outlier of safety and security AI implementation. And of course, we need to be aware that a small number of large corporates, mostly US, Korean, and Japanese, between them are responsible for over 20% of the global patent activity in AI. And finally, back to my opening, the overarching theme is that these measurement and analysis techniques are exploiting this vast resource that is global patent data. It is a window into the research patterns, trends, and opportunities that can be spotted right across the technology development process, not just within AI. And I want to thank again the event team for the invitation to speak to you today, and of course acknowledge our partner at Sultan Qaboos University for the work that we did with them on this subject and others. And thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Edward. Please, we have some questions from the audience. What is your recommendation for researchers to focus on their research proposal?
It's a great question. In terms of if you're putting research proposals together, these techniques that we're looking at here, they can be really useful in terms of looking at the commercial applications of your research. And so if commercialization and commercialization pathways is important to your research evaluation, then patent data absolutely plays a role within that research evaluation process.
Thank you, Mr. Edward. Now we welcome your comments and questions during the discussion session on the hashtag Lamad2021 with a mention for ITTC_SQU in Twitter app. Also, please write your name on the comment to get a certificate of participation. Now, we will have a video before moving to panel 1, with Dr. Abdullah Zakwani, Executive Director Research and Innovation at Lamad Company and Senior Research at طاقات Company.
إن قضايا الذكاء الاصطناعي مثيرة للجدل عالمياً فيما يخص الملكية الفكرية، فهذا النظام الذكي له المقدرة على التحليل واتخاذ القرارات وأيضاً الاختراع، فهل يمكن أن يكون المخترع آلة أو نظام؟ وفي حالة التعدي فهل يحاسب النظام أم الذي أسسه؟
يتوقع أن يصل حجم سوق الذكاء الصناعي في العالم إلى 190 مليار دولار سنوياً في العام 2025. جزء كبير من هذه الاستثمارات تصب في الأتمتة وفي تقليل العمالة البشرية اللازمة للقيام بمهام روتينية اللي ممكن استبدالها بكل بساطة بالذكاء الصناعي.
يمكن لمجال الرعاية الصحية أن تستفيد بشكل كبير من مجال الذكاء الاصطناعي والتعلم الآلي، وذلك من خلال استخدام البيانات الضخمة الموجودة حالياً في المستشفيات. أيضاً يمكن الاستفادة منها في مجال الصور الطبية في التشخيص وأيضاً في اقتراح الخطة العلاجية. ذلك يساعد في تخفيف التكلفة المادية على المستشفيات وأيضاً زيادة دقة النتائج.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. We're commencing with our panel one with three distinctive speakers. We're going to start with Mr. Hassan Fida Al-Lawatia, National Program Director for AI and AT in MTC IT. Then we'll follow with Dr. Ahmed Al-Mashri. He's an associate professor in Sultan Qaboos University, and followed by Dr. Rajat Kiyumi from PDO. Our panel will be an overview of the current status of AI in Oman, and hopefully we can commence and get this done very well. Mr. Hassan, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah, for the nice introduction. I'll be taking you through my slides, talking about mainly AI and what is its status currently in Oman, and what are the future opportunities and what are the main pillars that we are focusing on for our action plan. I'll just share my screens now. I believe that you can see my screen, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Actually, we can't see your screen yet. Thought I was seeing it. I'm seeing doubles, so excuse me. Yeah. We are not seeing the screen. Not yet.
Not yet. Still not?
Just do share screen on your allow share screen so that my team here can be able to.
Okay.
Good.
Because the button of sharing looks like gray, and I cannot click it. I can see it, but I cannot click
so
it.
it's not. Yeah, it's not shareable at the moment. So,
Okay.
So you're okay. You guys can see. Can see. Yeah. I think you can go ahead.
So sharing the screen.
We're not seeing the screen yet, so we're trying to make sure that we can see the slides.
Sharing option is not yet.
Take your time. Yeah, take your time. We're working on it. No hurry.
Okay, I think now it works.
Now it should be all right. Yeah, should be working now. Perfect. Yeah. Now we can see the slides. Fantastic.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll start with His Majesty's speech that was on 23rd of February 2020, and a portion of his speech, as you can see in front of you, he clearly highlighted about artificial intelligence and advanced technologies as one of the key areas. And besides that term, he highlighted some words like sectors, small and medium enterprises, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So I will be focusing also on these keywords just to show how Oman can capitalize on AI and advanced tech to enhance the productivity. there is no doubt that artificial intelligence and any technology, they are existing there for the benefit of adding value. So mainly technologies are not there to show off as much as they are there to be utilized to add value. We believe in Oman that AI has a big potential for automating of complex processes and procedures, improving our lifestyle, supporting our strategic decision making based on the big data, and also improving the performance of the sectors. Just to avoid confusion, because we noticed recently that there are many initiatives coming around in the region and having the term or using the term AI. And sometimes I feel like there is not much AI as much as there is more of automation. So we as a ministry came up with this definition just to simplify it as following. So AI is a system that has the ability to simulate human cognitive abilities, such as analyzing external data and devising new knowledge bases and using them to achieve new goals and tasks, in addition to its ability to solve problems and self-learn. Some examples of AI and advanced technologies: we have the computer vision, or we can call it machine learning, machine vision. We have the machine learning, we have the deep learning, we have the speech and voice recognition and natural language processing, and intelligent decision making. These are a couple of examples. What about advanced technologies? We came up also with a definition for the advanced technologies as following. Advanced technologies can be defined as a set of tools based on AI that aims to create new and advanced scientific and technological products that can be applied, transferred, and deployed into several fields without direct human intervention to change their algorithm or physical structure. And we can have some of the examples, such as like marketing some specific products to some specific segment of customers based on their emotional nations and feelings. Also, the combination of microchips within the biological characteristics of the human. Coming a little bit to the international trends, as you can see on the screen, and as per the Government AI Readiness Index of 2020, which is issued by Oxford Insights, you can see a rank of some countries, such as US. You can notice that it's ranked number 1, UK ranked number 2. We have China ranked as 19. And coming to the regional side, we have UAE ranked as 16, and we have the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as 38. And of course, there are index measures, as you can see on your left-hand side. What about Oman? We're going to come into that. So generally speaking, economic sectors can be benefited from AI. For example, like the health sector. Health sector can be benefiting from the AI by early diagnosis of diseases, and that will going to drive to early health plans. We have the logistic sector that can also utilize AI for simplifying the processes and reduce shipping time and cost. Another sectors like tourism. In the tourism sector, AI can be utilized through robots in communicating with the people in hotels and restaurants. We have the industrial sector where AI can contribute in developing the product and improving it to serve at the best level to the humans. The size of international market for AI. As you can see here, by year 2030, and as per according to the PwC report, $15.7 trillion will be the contribution of AI to the global economy. Coming to the Middle East side, in the same year, $320 billion will be the contribution of AI in the Middle East by the same year. Getting a little bit to the countries, regional countries are surrounding us. We have the Egypt. Egypt will gonna have AI contributing to its GDP by 7.7% in the year 2030. And we have Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We're gonna have 12.4% contribution to its GDP by AI. And United Arab Emirates, AI will gonna be contributing to its GDP by 14% in 2030. Coming to Oman, in that same report of Government AI Readiness Index of year 2020, Oman has been ranked as 48 globally and as 6 to the Middle East level. Strongly believing that AI is seen as in the Sultanate as one of the enablers to enhance the productivity of the economical sectors. What are the competitive advantages that Oman has so it can utilize in the artificial intelligence and advanced technologies? As we all know that Oman has a stable political climate, and that is really can drive for the foreign direct investments. We have a large number of IT graduates, and these graduates can also we can use them as an opportunity to enhance their capabilities with specialized training, and they can also utilize the foreign direct investments through partnering with the companies and so on. Also, Oman has so many submarine cables available, and this can qualify the country to host data centers and to have cloud services that all can be utilized for processing artificial intelligence algorithms. Also, as we all know, that the government is very much open to the adoption of modern technologies and innovation. So culturally, this is all acceptable. And also we have the economical matter that we are heading to as per our national plan to diversify our economy through various sectors. AI can play a big role in that by using multiple technologies, and we can get to somewhere utilizing AI. And also, of course, the possibility of adapting legislations and regulatory environment, which is possible for us. There are some examples of local sectors that already initiated and adopted AI in some projects, and they're running now. Some of the projects that are very much depending on AI, or some of them having a touch of AI. So, for example, we have the medical sector. We have the project, Breast Cancer Early Detection Project, that being started and being tested in 5 hospitals. And the success rate was 96%. Also, we have the energy sector, where we have the Nebras project. We have the agriculture sector. We have the 1 million date trees plantation project, where AI can help to detect diseases. We have the public sector services, such as the smart water meter project, and we have the smart electricity meter projects. And all these are somehow capitalizing on AI to perform better, to give more accuracy rates, and billing the readings. Coming to the Ministry of Transportation, Communications, and Information Technology. As per the new structure of the ministry, we have the National Program for AI and Advanced Technologies. And this program, as a team, the team of this program, now currently working on a national action plan for AI and advanced technologies. We are expecting this plan to get ready and get published in the 3rd quarter of this year. And there is one very important thing about this action plan, that we are not there just to work on it alone. We are engaging so many stakeholders just to contribute their inputs in this action plan. So we are engaging the sectors, we are engaging the government sector, we are engaging the private sector, we are engaging individuals, we are engaging those people who are having the interest in the AI and advanced technologies, the universities and the educational sector as well. All are contributing, and we are keep taking their inputs and shaping our plan. And it is like, it's already got drafted, but still we need to add a couple of things there. And it will gonna be ready, inshallah, as expected by 3rd quarter of this year. And it will gonna be a national plan as a strategy for Oman in terms of, for the sake of AI and advanced technologies. And this plan, we will gonna be focusing very
Doctor,
much
you have
on
1 minute. You have 1 minute left on the time.
Okay.
I will allow you to continue and finish it. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Just to remind you.
So in this particular plan, that was my main point. In this particular plan, we're going to be focusing more on how to link sectors together. We're going to be focusing more how to capitalize the economical sectors to utilize AI. And we will going to be, as a ministry, cooperating with them and engaging them with the national bodies and international bodies. And also, we will going to be having communication with some international bodies that we have a relation with, and also considering the global ranking of Oman. So the action plan for National Program for AI and Advanced Technologies is based on the following 4 pillars. The first pillar is enhancing the productivity of the sectors, targeting the economical sectors. The second pillar will be development of human capabilities in AI. And the third one is going to be accelerating the AI adoption, especially in public services. And the fourth is going to be the governance of AI applications and uses, considering the ethical and safe use of AI among the society. For more details about these pillars, the next slides can cover that, but I won't gonna go through them because of the time. Anyone, would like to go through them. These slides that I presented are already posted in our website and on our social media channels like Instagram and Twitter since 3 days back. And if anyone has any kind of a feedback, our channels of communication are shown on the screen. And I have to end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Brother Hassan, don't worry about it. There's so many questions for you. They're coming. So
No problem.
we'll get back to that in a minute.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce Dr. Ahmed at the moment, Mashari, to come and give us an academic perspective of using AI. So focusing on our local needs. So our local researchers will give us. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah, and good morning to everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I am sharing some slides, so I hope at any moment the operator will swap to that. In any case, what I'm trying to do here today in those 10 minutes that are allocated to me is to give an academic perspective on using artificial intelligence in addressing the local needs here in Oman. And I'm switching to the next slide, I hope soon. Yes. Right.
We're here. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to acknowledge a few people and a few entities. I borrowed some materials and ideas from Dr. Amr Yahmidi regarding the role of academia. And I also want to thank the HMTF Fund, Sultan Qaboos University, Ministry of Higher Education, BP Oman, and the Office for the Conservation of Environment, Diwan, for the support that they provide to the research project that I will talk about in the following slides. So what is the role of academia? So academia has a responsibility and obligation towards the adoption and advancing of IR4, and AI would be one of the technologies of IR4. And here, not only want to provide the students with the knowledge and skills, because that's given, but you also want to give the students the experience of technologies of IR4, such as AI. And really, I have to stress on the experience. It's not only the knowledge and skills, but the taste and flavor of IR4. And through the coming slides, things will be much more clear to you. The other thing is that we have to change the way students are thinking. So they have to work in a way that they want to do some creativity and they want to innovate in the projects and the products that they produce. We want to stress on the critical thinking. We want to make good problem solvers out of them. And for lifelong learning, we want the students to be able to learn how to learn, so how to get the information. Lastly, as academicians, we have to strengthen the collaboration with the industry because they have lots of problems, they have local needs, and then we need to work with them to use technologies such as AI to solve these problems. Now, I'll switch gears to the research projects. Initially, I had so many samples of the research projects that we have done. Unfortunately, I don't have the time, so I've selected few of them. But of course, at the Q&A, if you have any questions or queries about the other projects, I can talk about them as well. So what I did is that I split those projects in terms of application domains, sectors. So when it comes to the medical applications, this example that I'm going to show you here, this is the work of students. This is not a final year project. It's not really a capstone design. It was only a mini project within a course. And we asked the students to think of ways to use AI, machine vision in particular, to solve a problem. And what you see here in front of you, and I hope it's clear on your side, what the students did is that they took a feed and then they trained the machine to recognize people. And then using measurement calibration, they tried to estimate the distance between individuals. And if that distance goes below a certain threshold, then you raise a flag, meaning that there is not proper distance, social distancing between patrons of this facility. So you could think of applications where you can do that, where you can detect people, and then you do many things with that recognition of people, and then that can be used in applications. The next domain, tourism and heritage preservation. So if you look at landmarks, old mosques, ancient fortresses, from time to time, you want to have some 3D model, a digital 3D model, to have it in your archive for many reasons. If you want to promote the landmark or you want to do some restoration. The problem is to do a 3D model. If you do it the traditional way, it takes days to weeks. What you want to do in this project is to, reduce that time to only a few hours. So by flying a drone that will basically go around a landmark, take a few pictures, and then we automate the process, and then we use machine vision to end up having what you see on the right-hand side. So now we have a very nice 3D model of that landmark, and it took only hours from the time we, started, deploying the drone until we produce the model. So you can think of the many man hours that were reduced just by using machine vision and AI. Third one, agriculture sector. So this is project. It's a final year project, so it's a capstone design project for the students. And the idea was they want to use unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, basically, backed up with machine vision in order to provide a map to the farmers that gives them an idea about their crops. Are they stressed or not? And basically, you deploy a drone, you survey the field, and then you produce some dashboard that the farmer can check and realize whether you have a certain part of the farm which is basically under stress and it needs more attention. And what we did is that we deploy that drone. Again, it's a drone application. We deploy it at the AES station at Sultan Qaboos University. And what you see here is what's happening in the background. We have all these algorithms running in the background, trying to process. And then we have the foreground on the other side where the administrator can see the results of processing that field. And what you get at the end, this is the original image, and this is the annotated image. Notice how we use machine vision to recognize that this part is uncropped, which means that it shouldn't even be annotated. But the other part, this part which is cropped, it should be annotated. And then we use color code to indicate whether that part is, normal, okay, or it's under stress. And that will be much easier for the farmer to realize. And then by knowing the location, he would know that this, part of the farm needs more attention, water, whatever it is. So that basically helps a lot. And that's another, another output. Again, it recognizes that this is uncropped, and basically that's why it doesn't really, annotate it, but annotates the cropped parts. Okay. Next, for the wildlife and environment, from time to time, we hear about these incidents where poachers, they break into a wild reserve and they basically kill or hunt endangered animals. And we have been approached and were requested to find a solution to this problem. And this is basically a comprehensive project, but we have decided to go through it over phases. I'm showing you here only the output of phase 1. Phase 2 finished only a month ago, and we are actually going into a third phase where it's really going to be a comprehensive solution. And the whole point here is to try to monitor these wild reserves and provide a way for the inspectors and rangers tools to be able to inspect and protect those animals. And what I'm showing you here on in the slide, these are the outcomes of the first phase. I said we have 3 phases. So in the first phase, what we wanted to do is that we deploy drones to certain locations. Some of them are very difficult terrains. It's very difficult for the inspectors themselves to go to that location. So we send the drone there, we take images, and then we use deep learning to try to recognize animals. So you could see here on the left-hand side, we recognize gazelles and we count them. All of that done using machine vision, automatically in semi-real time. And then on the right-hand side, you have a count of donkeys. Now, why gazelles? Because they are the most hunted animals, most targeted animals in the reserve. Why donkeys? You might be laughing now, but you shouldn't really, but because donkeys, they break in also into the reserve, and it's a problem for the inspectors. And they told us that these donkeys, they basically compete with gazelles in their food. So they deprive gazelles of their food, and then that's a problem. So they wanted also to know the number of donkeys in a particular location. And we provide them that through these tools where they can know the number of those hungry donkeys. I need only 2 or 3 minutes and then I'll be done. So how do we achieve that? How can we give the students the experience of artificial intelligence and help them to develop products which make use of these technologies? One way to do that is to have a facility just like the EIVS lab. So the Embedded and Interconnected Vision Systems Lab, it's a lab that we have constructed starting 2019. It was inaugurated in 2020 in March. And it was funded by BP Oman, which we thank them for this generous fund. And the whole point of having this lab is to make it as a platform for students, researchers, and entrepreneurs to come together and talk, discuss, collaborate on systems that uses embedded vision systems and unmanned vehicle systems to solve problems. And the services that we provide include teaching courses, doing R&D, and also we would like to offer courses and workshops to the mass. This is a 3D model of the lab, and no, it was not really created using a drone. So here in this part where we do the teaching and we do the workshops and webinar, seminar, and short courses. And in this part, this is where we do the R&D. And you notice here we have this indoor arena where we can fly drones and we can also control unmanned ground vehicles, unmanned cars basically. And we can do a lot of research with this because we have a bunch of cameras that monitor the movement of these vehicles, and we take that feed, we develop our own algorithms, and then we upload it to those vehicles and see how they interact. I need 1 last minute just to show you a video about the lab, and then I'm done. Thank you all. That's it for me. And if you're interested, you can follow us on Twitter. From time to time, we post videos about the stuff that we do in the lab. So please follow us. Thank you. Abdullah?
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Mashari. That was brilliant work. That's such a good work. We hope for the best in Oman. We're looking at the right direction. Now I'd like to invite our last guest on this particular panel, Dr. Raja Al-Kumi. She's going to tell us about AI in oil and gas. Some exciting work. Welcome, Dr. Raj. Dr. Raj is, yeah. Doctor, we're not seeing your screen and we're not hearing you, so I hope you can hear me, and switch on your mic.
Assalamu alaikum.
Now
You
we're
hear
good.
me now?
Now I can hear you. Fantastic.
Great.
Let's go ahead.
Okay. Let me see. I'll share my screen. I don't know. Can you see my screen now?
No, we cannot see the screen, and we cannot see you either. So I think you need to enable your camera for it to.
Is it coming up now?
Not yet.
How is it now? Is it coming up? Sorry.
Not yet. Is your share screen button enabled?
Yes. Trying to share my PowerPoint now, the window.
If it's not going through, you can send it to us and we can publish it. And
I don't know. It's not coming up yet, huh?
no, not yet. Yeah. Give me the
So let me send you the slides then.
Yeah, do that. Meanwhile, I'll answer some questions from the public.
Sure.
So I think there's a question for Dr. Ahmed, Professor Al-Mashari. Are you online? Professor.
Yes, can you hear me?
Professor Ahmed.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. I'm going to start interacting between presentation and the questions. I suppose that will save some time. There's a question for you. I think we'll get it. It's already posted inside over there. I think you can read it. You can read Arabic better than I can do, so I'll let you do it.
شكرا لك دكتور أحمد. في سؤال هناك تخصصات معينة في كلية هندسة أحمد التقنيات. For those who do not understand Arabic, Saud al-Rashidi is asking, are there any specializations that really support, or I believe that uses these technologies? So in College of Engineering, there was a movement towards adopting and modernizing the curriculum so that it uses the IR4 technology. So all departments in College of Engineering, they are in that process of modernizing the curriculum. Now, in particular, the lab that you have seen and the project that we're working on, it's basically under the program of Electrical and Computer Engineering as well as Mechatronics. So probably these would be the two programs that actively working on AI applications, drones, and machine vision. I hope that answers your question.
That's fantastic. We have another question. I think it's coming to you, Professor, again. This is the problem. Don't put Professor before your name. Everybody's asking you the questions.
Yeah. I kind of lost. Which one? Is it Sultan?
Yeah, there's a question. I think if it is very similar patent, they want to know about patent, basically. So I suppose you can lead on that, and I can support you on it since I'm a patent expert. So let's go into it.
To be honest, I'm not really the right person to answer this question. Probably Mr. White can answer that question, or maybe Hassan, if he can allude, because it basically speaks of the regulatory bodies who are basically in charge of patenting. We file patents, but we don't really regulate it. So either if Ed can talk about this, or maybe Hassan.
Ed is online. If not, I will give the opportunity to Hassan to answer that if it's all right with you. Otherwise, I can try to support you on it on an international perspective.
What I can add on this regard is the following: when it comes to the ethical and safe use of AI and advanced technologies, yeah, we are making those type of policies. But if there is any kind of a commercial touch, then there is a special body for that, which is the Ministry of Commerce. So there is a clear line between these two. If there is something related to the uses and the protection of humans, then yes, those policies, we are working down on them.
Yeah, okay. So I will give you guys an international perspective. So basically, patent it's got a very simple process. The person who applies first, the person who has the landing button first is the one who gets the nod for the patent. And Einstein has said this before. I'll just give you a nice quote from Einstein, who said that at any given time, whatever idea you've got in your head, remember that there might be another 400 or 500 people thinking of the same idea. The only person who's going to be recognized for that idea is the person who clicked the button first, or the person who publishes it first, as he says. So I think that's the answer to this. I'm not sure whether we've got Dr. Raja back online or not yet. Yeah, so I will switch back to Dr. Raja to be able to get her part going. Then we'll come back to the discussion. Dr. Raja, please.
Dr. Abdullah. I sent them by email, so I don't know if you can.
Yeah. Yeah, just a second. It will be put up. I think we are good in about a second or so.
Great.
Sorry for the inconvenience, Doctor.
No, it's my apologies, actually. Sorry for...
No. It's always, we appreciate your being there. There we are. We've got the presentation online now. We all can see it. Let's go ahead.
Very good. Yes, please. All right. So good morning, everyone. And it's really a pleasure to be here today with all these great minds and to talk about the future of AI, specifically in the oil and gas industry, and to look at some global and local use cases for AI in this industry in particular. So moving to the next slide, I would like to start by looking at the key drivers of digitalization in the oil and gas industry. The main driving force for digitalization, from my perspective, is actually related to the industry inherited challenges. The oil and gas industry continues to face several long-lasting challenges associated to the nature of its operation. These challenges range from the high HSE risk associated with the operation of oil and gas, the low oil prices for extended period, the large staff turnover and the difficulty to attract talents, in addition to the greater demands for climate change accountability. So these challenges are driving the oil and gas to be more innovative and to provide practical solutions through digitalization. Another very important driving force is the threat from competitive technologies. So we see the increasing use of renewable energy, the accelerated momentum towards hydrogen economy, and the electrification of transport. And these all represent fundamental key drivers for the oil and gas towards digitalization to enable the industry to deliver better. So other key forces are also the increased risk of cyber attacks across the supply chain, the scarcity of skilled expertise that needs to be complemented with intelligent and data-driven solutions, among a few more forces such as the changing consumer needs and expectation. So all that have pushed the industry to look into the digitalization as a key enabler to achieve the long-term goals. So here, looking at the promising future of AI and the huge opportunities in adopting AI for the industry. As shared by Hassan, there were a few, figures about the, value that adoption of AI can bring to the global economy. Here we are looking more into the value of AI in oil and gas. As per PwC report, is looking at the contribution of AI in increasing oil and gas production, especially due to the minimized downtime. Also, the adoption of AI will create savings in CapEx and OpEx, and it's estimated to be up to 1 trillion by 2025. Among the other benefits of AI in this industry in particular is its impact on the environmental challenges. So reducing carbon emissions, saving water and avoiding oil spills, among many others. So although the oil and gas sector has been slow so far in adopting AI technologies, we can see that there are tremendous growth opportunities that yet to be unlocked. Next, please. So would like to be looking at how the AI disrupting the oil and gas industry. And it is disrupting the industry in many ways. It is minimizing unplanned downtime and maximizing the production. So unplanned downtime, as many of you may know, has significant financial impact on oil and gas companies. So 1% annual unplanned downtime of a production facility, which is equivalent to 3.65 days a year, causes oil and gas companies to lose $5 million just from one production facility. So AI-based predictive maintenance analyzes heaps of data collected from sensors placed on an asset. And over time, this technology continuously learns and refines itself so that it analyzes patterns and flags imminent failures far in advance. Of course, reducing production costs is another area where AI is coming into play. So the low oil prices, among other reasons, are forcing the industry to cut operational costs to stay afloat. So AI technology is known for its power in optimizing operations and reducing costs, mainly helping in streamlining multiple operations, eliminating non-productive and invisible lost time, and analyzing data to prevent human error. AI as well is good for more than boosting profits. It can reduce safety and environmental incidents. For example, using natural language processing can help technicians detect irregular patterns, generate insight, and minimize safety issues in their daily operation. Additionally, the machine learning algorithm can be used to analyze video surveillance footage, detect HSE violations, and send notification and alarms and prevent incidents. So the cyber threat detection is also another great area where AI can play a significant role, especially in oil and gas, where in 2016, the energy sector was ranked as the second largest target of cyber attacks. With data becoming more and more important, sorry, I'm still in the same slide. So with data becoming more and more important to the oil and gas operation, well-executed attacks can lead to significant downtime and can be costing millions of dollars. So the cyber threats will continue to evolve in complexity, and therefore traditional solutions will no longer be capable of protecting our critical infrastructure. Therefore, AI-based solutions can leverage the power of data and can predict and prevent the most advanced attacks and can keep the hackers from stealing the company data and also prevent significant downtime. So these are some of the ways that AI will be disrupting the industry. Now, if you move to the next slide, I would like just to share here the maturity and impact of different digital technologies in the oil and gas industry from the Bits, Bytes, and Barrels by Jeffrey Kahn. So we can see that AI is one of the technologies that is expected to have the highest impact on the oil and gas industry. Moving to the next slide, I would like to share some of the key use cases of AI in the industry. One of the application of AI is in well optimization, and one example is in Equinor Energy Company. So the company implemented a well optimization system in the Bakken oil field for 50 horizontal wells, and used IoT-enabled devices and advanced machine learning. So this resulted in, all this information enabled the Equinor to automate the wells optimization set point decisions, enhance the pump efficiency, and increase the pump fillage. That's also, came to 6% increase in oil production for under pumping wells, and for over pumping wells, it translates to 14% increase in the pump efficiency. Similar example from Eagle Ford, which I'll just choose to skip here. Maybe we can go to the next slide and look at another promising application, please, which is the predictive maintenance. Again, looking at an example from Equinor Energy Company, and the company implemented a predictive maintenance program to monitor heat exchangers in one of the refineries. So a typical refinery has between 200 to 400 heat exchangers, and any undetected faults can cause damage to the performance and even can cause shutdowns. So the vendor developed and installed cost-effective wireless sensors to provide real-time measurement, and using data analytics, the data is then interpreted to enable optimal decisions to be made. The results prove that the program is able to prevent unplanned outages and to reduce the energy and capacity losses by up to 10%, which translates into savings of as much as 3.5 million or more annually. Similar example is from Shell Project Technology here, and in 2019 alone, 130 million additional
Dr.
revenue.
Raja, we have very few minutes left.
Okay, sure. I have just a couple of slides.
Yeah, just let us know which slides are more important,
next,
and we
yeah.
can.
Next, actually. So I want to bring you back home, and I want to bring you to share with you exciting examples for AI adoption and use cases in PDO. So one of the key success stories we have in PDO is the development of a stack pipe and tight spot event prediction tool, which we call it STEP. So an average PDO loses 350 to 400 days a year non-productive time, and 33% is due to stuck pipe. So this tool, sorry, I'm still there. This tool has been developed in-house in PDO, and the pilot was completed in Lughouir with 2 rigs. And the plan is to deploy this tool in 10 more rigs within 2021. It's already yielded 750K savings during this initial phase, and it can go up to 20 million per year. Another use case is the video surveillance for HSC, and using AI to extract insights and to create automatic notification of HSC violations. Also, the POC for this is concluded already, and the project will be phased over 3 years. A third use case in predictive maintenance on compressors, where in PDO, like 3.3% of the unscheduled production deferments is attributed to the failure in surface facilities. And currently, this tool is deployed in Fahoud and Lughouir in a number of compressors. However, the team is looking into improvement aspect to the tool before going ahead with the deployment. So I have a couple of slides on STEP, but I think that should be enough for now. If time is up. So thank you so much for listening to me and giving me the opportunity with you my perspective here.
Thank you, Dr. Raja. We appreciate that. That was fantastic insight. Stay with us on the panel, please. We've got a few questions. I'm going to try to make this very quickly because we don't have a lot of time, but we've got a few important questions. So we have a question from, and I've categorized them into 3 main ones. So there is a question probably going to Lakh Al-Lawatia and Professor here regarding if there's anything being done in COVID-19 to help in COVID-19. And as I already seen, Professor has already presented one of the examples of the camera of the distancing. But if there's anything else we can cover into that, I think we should go into that. I will try to present all the three sectors, and then we can cover them dynamically and just stop whenever we feel like we want to stop. The second component, I think this is the most important one, maybe we should answer it first, is that they're asking if there are any approved industrial usage of AI developed in Oman. This is from various people, but very well articulated by Abdullah Sawafi and Ahmed Al-Alawi. It seems like the question comes on to ask, and Madam Rawi Al-Rawahi is asking about human bias in AI. I think I'll answer that really quickly so that we don't spend too much time on it. Of course, there's a lot of human bias, but the whole concept is to try to reduce. And human bias is part of human thinking, and therefore you can either make the model go on its own, or you can become, or you can include the human bias as what human will actually do. But I will leave this to my colleagues to also contribute. And the last one is from about deep specialization in SQU. So if there are any, this question goes directly to Professor Al-Mashari regarding there's a deep specialization. I think we don't have to cover on that question anymore. I just wanted to say it out so we know that it was there, but it has already been answered. I think the person who asked the question has come a little bit late. So there are areas in SQU has been explained by Professor, but the floor is yours. I think we'll start with Lakhallawatia regarding approved use of AI in manufacturing event.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I mean, like in one of my slides, I just mentioned specifically slide number 13. I mentioned a couple of examples of some projects where AI somehow it's partially there, or there is a specific touch of AI. For example, there are projects like Nibras project, and I believe Dr. Riyad is with us, and he's going to be covering about it in the next panel. But the answer is yes, we have a couple of projects already initiated and using the AI.
Great. Professor Mashari, what is your take on that?
So, as Hassan has mentioned, there are actually projects. Currently, we are working on a project for a big government company. I cannot really give the details because the sponsor would like to keep it incognito right at the moment. But it's basically a project that uses AI and unmanned vehicles to perform a certain task. So we observe that the number of projects that require the use of AI and UVS as unmanned vehicle systems is on the rise, and this is something good. Abdullah, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Dr. Raja, you're the last person to give us on the perspective. We know you're on the driving seat. The oil and gas industry is the driver of economy of our sector of the world. Please give us your perspective on this.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Abdullah. Actually, I shed light in the presentation about some of the key use cases that are currently either, we have completed the pilot and we are ready to deploy it across the company, which is the STEP tool. And also this STEP tool is having the a plan for future improvement to cover not only stuck pipe and the tight spot, but also to cover more use cases by further developing this tool in order to reduce the non-productive time in the drilling system. Also, there are a couple of projects that are in concept phase in the leak detection classification. We are looking at we're on the POC for the leak detection and classification solution, which is based on AI as well. In addition to that, we are looking into a downhole robot with AI capabilities as well. So this is again in the concept phase. So apart from the ones that I mentioned, I think the potential for AI, you can see, is huge. And the predictive maintenance itself, we are talking today about compressors, but there are so many other pumps, control valves, and so on that can, be onboarded with this particular application.
That's perfect. I would like to conclude the session, and I would like to tell everybody in light of this question. So we are a small research team which has international feel, if you like, and we have a deployed product which we should be proud from Oman on COVID-19 being used in Canada right now. We have oil and gas product that has been used in the States, very high level. So we are the first company to come up with virtual meter. And as Professor Al-Mashari have said, we have this specialization in Oman. We're getting into AI, and inshallah, Oman will have the talent and the power to get this done. At the moment, we can all be proud. We're doing very well. We're being ranked high, and we're moving in the right direction. Thank you very much to our speakers, and we appreciate of you being there. Anybody has any questions, we can take them and we'll answer you privately. Thank you very much.
يمكن لمجال الرعاية الصحية أن تستفيد بشكل كبير من مجال الذكاء الاصطناعي والتعلم الآلي، وذلك من خلال استخدام البيانات الضخمة الموجودة حاليا في المستشفيات. أيضا يمكن الاستفادة منها في مجال الصور الطبية في التشخيص وأيضا في اقتراح الخطة العلاجية. ذلك يساعد في تخفيف التكلفة المادية على المستشفيات وأيضا زيادة دقة النتائج.
يتوقع أن يصل حجم سوق الذكاء الصناعي في العالم إلى 190 مليار دولار سنويا في العام 2025. جزء كبير من هذه الاستثمارات تصب في الأتمتة وفي تقليل العمالة البشرية اللازمة للقيام بمهام روتينية اللي ممكن استبدالها بكل بساطة بالذكاء الصناعي.
إن قضايا الذكاء الاصطناعي مثيرة للجدل عالميا فيما يخص الملكية الفكرية، فهذا النظام الذكي له المقدرة على التحليل واتخاذ القرارات وأيضا الاختراع، فهل يمكن أن يكون المخترع آلة أو نظام؟ وفي حالة التعدي فهل يحاسب النظام أم الذي أسسه؟
Welcome back, everybody. We're commencing with our panel 2. This will be the future perspective now. So we already know what's happening on the ground, and we want to know what we're planning to do later. We're going to have 3 distinguished speakers again. We're going to start with Engineer Khalil Al-Mawali, followed by Dr. Riyad Musa, and finally Dr. Zahra Al-Rawahi. We hope to have a fantastic session, and we're going to look at future perspective, as I said, and the first person who's going to come in is Engineer Khalil Al-Mawali from the Ministry of Technology, and this will be about future initiative and plans. Khalil.
Assalamu alaikum, Doctor. I hope you can see my slides.
I can see you. Such a beautiful day. We can't see the slides yet. Let's go ahead with it. Well, just enable screen share. Perfect. Now we can see them.
Okay. So I will go fast because lots of content was covered by my colleague Hassan Lawati before in the previous session.
Good.
So we are members of the new program already mentioned by Hassan, National Program for AI and Advanced Technology. And if you want to contact us through this email. So the program started last year in November, and we follow this simple methodology to form an action plan for the Sultanate. We call it as a mid-term action plan and also long-term action plan, between 5 to 20 years action plan. So we did an analysis of international experiences from different countries, also reports from international firms and companies. Then we gather lessons learned analysis last December. Then we worked on the first report, which was released this week by MTC IT on AI future in Oman, and it was brief and summary content. We see that this content is like the initiation and the start point for the action plan, hopefully coming soon. We review a lot of strategies. We did the market scan, one-to-one meetings. We reach more than 40 now meetings with different stakeholders, individuals, academics. The program now is handling the smart city project. We are now on the way to have a proof of concept for autonomous delivery. Hopefully by Q4 we can start this proof of concept. The program leading open data initiative within the ministry, and we are looking for quick wins for AI and advanced technology. Later, we are in the stage now to review the action plan with the stakeholders. We are contacting now also local and international experts to discuss and review our action plan. That's why we are also now meeting a lot of academics, public and private also organizations about their plan on AI. We are planning to have a site visit. We already start a few of them to see implemented solutions. Hopefully by Q4 this year we can release the action plan of the program with the timelines and KPIs and projects. The program vision long term is to build the Sultanate's AI and advanced technology in its space. We need to have a competitive advantage compared to other countries, and this is our vision. And the mission of the program is to promote AI and advanced technology R&D, and this is with the help, of course, with our stakeholders. Facilitate the deployment of AI and AT in the Sultanate, and we want to ensure, highlight the name or the word facilitate. So the ministry take the responsibility to facilitate and also enable this deployment of AI and AT in the Sultanate. Ensure the boost of AI and AT skills, of course, with the stakeholders from education sector. Contribute to the sector's productivity and talents and the skills of AI and AT. Provide supporting tools. Of course, these tools, I mean, not technical tools, but I mean the ethical legalization policies, and also reviewing the legal documentations to allow AI and AT implementation. And finally, we will benchmark the Sultanate with the top-notch countries. We define 4 pillars for the program. The diversification sectors, we have a focus on these sectors, cultivating the talents in AI and AT, accelerating the adoption in essential sectors, and fourth is to promote an AI with human-centric vision. We already drafted 12 initiatives, 28 sub-tasks, 39 activities with KPIs. But now we are having the discussion with the stakeholders to review and agree on these action plans. The targeted sectors, we define the economy diversification sectors, which are the focus sectors in the 10th or the 10th five-year plan for the country, with a special focus for energy sectors and logistics. And the reason behind it is clear. These sectors are immature enough. They have a lot of digitalization initiatives. So they are more welcoming AI and advanced technologies compared to other sectors. For essential sectors, the smart government and digital transformation in the government, education and health, these are essential sectors. By default, we need to focus and accelerate adoption in these sectors. We define some focus domains for AI and also advanced technologies. We define domains on computer vision, NLP, speech recognition and synthesis, machine and deep learning, intelligent support for decision making. And also we are having now a discussion about smart sensors, and we need the help from R&D community now in Oman about these focus domains. We see the next 10 years in Oman, the industry is going to data-driven industries, where the igniting tools is technologies like IoT, unmanned aerial vehicles like drones, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, robotics, and mixed reality. So we hope to receive feedback from R&D community here in Oman if there is already research done locally on these technologies, which is now clear that there is, at least we know about the efforts in SKU. And for advanced technology, this is a prospective technologies, and we bring most of these applications or prospective applications from other countries' strategies. And we put a theme for this technologies that the industries is going for autonomous driven industries. And actually, as per our study, we are lacking 10 years behind. The countries like Japan, US, China, Russia already start to think about autonomous industries. However, for us, we are still struggling with data. And again, we need review and support from R&D community regarding these advanced technologies and what will be the competitive advantage for the country in such kind of technologies. Here it's a simple landscape of AI and advanced technology in Oman, but mainly it is AI. We see big efforts in sensors industry, mainly with SMEs is done, and prototyping labs or fab labs. And there is a good initiatives from the industry. I think you already know about the factory of IoT devices in Rusail. Hopefully it will be opened soon. And we have now 3 questions about the sensing technologies, like a touch sensing technology, smelling sensing technology, and taste sensing technologies, where we need the R&D community to support us and to guide us on the opportunities on these technologies. We see big efforts from different countries, but still these technologies are needs a lot of R&D compared to the other technologies. For AI chips, there is no effort to manufacture these chips. We see only consuming on them. Again, for R&D, we have questions open about the capabilities of GPUs, FPGAs, and ASICs chips. We want to discuss, and we already highlight some of these questions to the R&D community here in Oman. But again, the chips, most of this industry is done with a small.
Khalil, you have 1 more minute to go, so
okay.
let's start.
I will.
Go ahead, Habibi.
Regarding data, thank you. Regarding the data, there is a big challenge in the data in Oman, and we already starting discussion with the stakeholders. For communication and computing, there is a big investment because of telecom companies, of course. In the technology layer, the speech recognition, NLP, machine learning, intelligent decision making, and computer vision, we see small and medium enterprises, startups, they are taking the highest risk here. And they are investing a lot on the R&D with the education system. But we are lacking behind on this technology. I will be we need more of R&D. We need more investment on this layer. For use cases and application layer, we saw good implementation on oil and gas, logistics industries, and mainly these 2 sectors who are now taking the risk to implement these technologies. That's it from my side, and welcoming also the questions later.
Thank you. Thank you very much, esteemed La Khalil. I would like to invite Dr. Riyad Musa at the moment to give us the perspective of Nibras. We've been waiting for this. Hopefully it will be very, people can chip in. I think you've got a big plate on your hand at the moment. Everybody wants to eat into it, so you better prepare yourself. Let's try to keep the session as short as we can so that we can have a lot of interaction at the end. So, Doctor, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Very good afternoon. Actually, or is it still morning? Good morning to you all.
Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying this session as much as I am. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you about Nebras and really to share with you this beautiful Omani success story on digital transformation. I think when we talk about Nebras, it is a successful story not because it only achieved, this huge business transformation and tremendous value, but also, in light with the objective of this session and also the objective of the ministry in this area is being commercialized or has been commercialized. And so it achieves all of those objectives at one. And what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about this area because in a sense, and I'm bringing it from slightly a different perspective, because when we do talk about digitalization and digital transformation and unlocking the value from it, what we find is that the biggest challenge is actually not the technology per se, but it's actually the human and organizational adoption. And that's the part that I'm actually focusing on. So to talk about things to set the scene, I mean, we talked about the enormous amount of money that companies across the world. Can I just confirm you can see my slides? Maybe I should have done that at the beginning.
No, go ahead. We can hear it. We can see, we can hear.
Fantastic. Okay, so in 2019 alone, companies across the world spent $1.2 trillion on digital transformation. But when you talk about the value that is being generated from it, you see that, if you Google this right now, you'll see that 50% of employees spend their time in searching and assembling data, which is a tremendous waste. You see many successful pilots, and I think we've, in the previous speakers, you have example upon example of small projects that do a specific thing that applies to a particular group of people or a department. But very few have become a corporate-wide system that becomes the way that we do things across the entire organization. And even when you talk about these big data projects, really it's not rosy. It's a lot of it actually fails to deliver value. And so when we talk about things, okay, so let's get into some definition because I think it is important. If you look at digital transformation and what it actually means, you see that, in the internet, you have many people mean different things by it. And quite often it's the big data and the technological definitions. But more and more, you now see the human aspects and the organizational aspects coming in. So in our definition in Novatech, we talk about digital business transformation. And what this really means is that you move an organization so it becomes so in such a way that decision-making across the organization is data-driven. Now, to be able to achieve data-driven decision-making in the organization across the board, what we really need to talk about is then being able to take the right data that then is collected together to be able to generate the right insight, provide that in the right way and in the right time to the right person. And what we found over the 10 years of the history of Nebras in PDO and the 2 years of the commercialization that we've now had with Novatech is the key to all of this is integration. But not integration in its tight, limited definition. It's integration in its widest meaning. So what we mean by it first is that it's about integration of data, all the different types of data, whether IoT, historical, whatever. And the systems themselves, because the systems tend to be quite siloed. They are more discipline-oriented. So it is about putting all of that together and integrating it so that you can use it for analysis, and that integrated data can generate insights from it that is then able to, then you do the analysis across the board, across all the assets, all the domains, and also all the levels of complexities. Now, this then can be made into an IT platform. We call this the one-stop shop, one version of the truth that is intelligent because it takes this data and then generates those insights into them, and very much built on automation. And that's what we really then talk about in terms of where the efficiency is. But in our experience with Nebras in PDO, this was only half of the story. Because when we first launched Nebras version 1 back in 2010, Only 65 people were using it, and we've struggled with adoption. And what we, when we talk about digital transformation, PDO now is kind of in Nebraska, and PDO is a little bit like the nervous system. And the biology analogy really works across the board. Because when we then went to people and says, why aren't you using it? They said, we are drowning in insights. You're killing us with all of this insight. What we want is something a bit more manageable. And so the key next step of integration became integration with business priorities. It's not about the hundreds of insights that you get. It's about which ones can you really act on. And the other thing is that what are you mature to act on right now? So we did, like pilots into AI and things like that. And 6 months later, they did beautiful predictions. What impact that they had on the actual people who are monitoring and running these facilities and wells? Nothing, because they said, this is beyond us. And the analogy going back to biology, it's a little bit like, subhanAllah, the way God has created us. When there is an insight and your leg needs your attention, it triggers pain. Everybody understands pain. But imagine if you say, okay, but I'm going to give you something better. I'm giving you X-ray. I said, but I don't understand X-ray. And so having that to be able to do the operational maturity, organizational maturity, and building that in the journey of going from where you are to where you need to be, that is critical for adoption. And when we did that, we jumped from 65 users to 350 users in 5 months. The next part is integrating into with the organization itself and ensuring that it is in terms of the roles and responsibilities. When you're sending these insights and you send it to let's say the petroleum engineer, but the insight can only be acted on by the operator, the petroleum engineer simply discards them. And so you really didn't generate the value out of it. So really putting in those roles and responsibilities. And what we found, and this was the breakthrough in Nebraska, was adopting lean methodology to make all of this then fit together. So it was then using the lean methodology. It was about extracting the value and the prioritizing all of those insights from a value perspective, translating them into business processes that are half automated, half orchestrated for human interaction and involvement. And last but not least, then enabling this to grow as a journey so it becomes a corporate-wide way. This is how we manage. Just like in your nervous system, this is how it manages your legs, your hands, your kidneys. It doesn't matter what it is. It manages everything that way. And that is when you really unlock value. So just to show that it's actually across the board, this is what Nebraska kind of looks like. And in a sense, you have the multiple layers. By the way, Nebraska in Arabic means light, right? And it's actually directed light. So every page in Nebraska has a customer. And the whole philosophy of Nebraska, it shines a light on where your time would add the most value, the customer's time. So the lower level, the screen you see, these are for the engineers and the operators. So their time is addressed at a given well, a given compressor, or whatever. The second level is for the supervisors, so it goes across that. And the third level is for management, where you look at the
Doctor,
total integrated system.
2 minutes just to give you an insight. Yeah, go ahead. Take your time, though.
Okay, very good. And so as a result, it crosses all the layers of the organization and all the domains in the organization. We also have a mobile version of Nebraska that now enables our operators in the field to be able to take this and go on routes to do maintenance routes and to do assurance routes, integrity assurance routes, being able to monitor that output. Have it been done? Has it not been done? Are our equipment healthy? Is it not healthy? When we trigger actions, are being actioned or not? And you see at the bottom the value that is generated from it. But this is a true transformation and a complete change in the way that we do things. Now, as you can imagine, this had tremendous value in PDO. We talk about 5% extra production from PDO. If you think about it, oil and gas generates 70% of Oman's GDP. So this is 1% of Oman's GDP that is coming from a digital transformation platform built and conceived right here in Oman. More than, in terms of road exposure, HSE exposure, and we're really here only talking about road exposure, but there is a lot more than this. At least 10%, because what happens now is that with that one version of the truth, people look at the data and they believe it. They don't have to send someone to the field to go test it and check it. It not only then, reduces the exposure, but it speeds up the decision making. data quality and improving that data quality year on year by 20%. Someone mentioned about, yeah, but where do we start because we don't really have great data? What we found is that your data improves as you use it. So as you use it for decision making, you can now justify the investment to improve it and get it to the level that it needs to be, and then it's treated. But then it's not all data. It is the data that you are using for decision making, and so not all data treated equally. Last but not least, we saved 40% of petroleum engineering time and operators' time over this. So remember when I started with saying 50% of people's time is spent, assembling data and looking for data? In PDO, we did this analysis. So before Nebras, it was 53%. And after Nebras, we're talking about 14%. So what this really means is that we save 2 days of every engineer's time per week. And what it also means is that rather than looking for data and trying to find the issues and the opportunities, they're spending their time acting on them. And in my mind, this is what has enabled everything else that you've seen here, including the 5% extra production and the HSC exposure and so on and so forth. So I want to stop at this stage, but I really want to say that this is a beautiful Omani innovation that was born in PDO more than 10 years ago. It has achieved digital transformation in PDO and tremendous value. But now we're talking about even more value by commercializing it and generating in-country value for Oman. And I will stop at this point.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We'll come back to you in a little bit. There's enough questions for us to get interaction. It's fantastic. Nice to hear such an innovation from Oman. We're looking forward to see it growing and blossoming to become a world tool, which what I know is already getting there, or already there, if I'm correct. We'll jump straight up to Dr. Zahra Rawahi to do with higher education. I will hit you up directly with a question because someone just raised a question here on what about AI in education? Certainly, yeah. This is so it seems to be everybody's interested. Doctor, I would like to articulate on one thing. Time is a little bit of an essence at the moment. We're running a little bit short, so let's try to keep it at 10 minutes. I will allow you 1 or 2 minutes extra. As I said, you're the unlucky person because people are already asking questions on what you're going to do. And obviously, they're looking at it as tech and or subject we don't know. But the question is, what about in education, AI in education? So there you go.
Yeah. Great. Do you hear? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can see, we can hear. Just go ahead.
Yeah, and the presentation is shown?
Yeah, everything is good.
Okay, that's great. Actually, it gives me a great pleasure to be today to present this one on one of the SQU platform. Because actually AI, it was started long time ago at SQU at Sultan Qaboos University Hospital. In 2007, actually, we bring a system called an expert system called Fixed Eyes. And Fixed Eyes, it tries to mimic and simulate expert medical doctor to help junior doctor perform ophthalmology diagnosis and certain treatment with a laser. And it is actually, it used to be at Sultan Qaboos University Hospital at ophthalmology department. So that one is one of the first AI application in my outline will be mainly, I will talk about the impact of AI in higher education, some applications of AI, and then I will go on to give you some recommendation of implementing AI in higher education systems. So how will artificial intelligence really influence the global higher education sectors? In Europe, actually, they made like a commission to study more about the effect of AI, and they came up with this quote: AI will be the main driver of economic and productivity growth, and it will contribute to the sustainability and the ability of the industrial base in Europe. And as the previous speaker mentions, actually, it will affect the whole world. So it will be like the steam engine or electricity that affected it. So the artificial intelligence will really transform the productivity and with the global 14.7. It will be the added value of AI systems in the future. And the distribution of this, we can look at it. I'm trying to go to, yeah, and you can see the China, as they mentioned, by year 2030, 26.1% of GDP will be increased in China, and then North America by 14.5%, then Europe and the rest of the world. So almost the impact of AI in the global economy, it will be 70% that come from China and from the North America. And this one equivalent to 10.7 trillion. So, I mean, the race is heading, it's accelerating very fast, and we need to take a lead on this field so to have an impact on it. And if we look to the Global Economic Forum on their report related to employability, we can see the top two employability, the job of the future are related to data analytics and to AI and machine learning and this type of things, as for the eighth one. So they assume by year 2022, 133 million new jobs that are focused on AI and data analytics will be needed. And we can see here the first two, the 10 emerging jobs are data analysis and scientists, AI and machine learning specialists. And since you are at the higher education institute, you are training the youth to the job market, you really need to pay a lot of attention in regard to job creation related to the AI field. And we can see here in this map, nations around the world, almost most of the countries are already developed their strategies and AI plan since 2016 to 2018. And few other countries, they joined in 2019. And I'm very glad to hear today from His Excellency, from the Ministry of Transportation and Communication Technology, that Oman will be launching as well a plan for AI. And a meeting was for the G20 ministerial countries. They came out to discuss the AI principles. And they came out with 5 major principles. They say it's very important to invest in AI in research and development. And this is the role of Higher Education Institute. As well, the second thing is to foster digital ecosystem of AI. The third one is shaping and enabling policy environment related to AI area. And the fourth one is building human capacity and preparing for labor market transformation. And this is really the mandate of Higher Education Institute. The fifth one, international cooperation for trustworthy artificial intelligences. So these are the major 5 elements that we should focus on. And UNESCO as well, they have a steering committee who are working on the effect of AI in education, and they say there is no doubt that AI will revolutionize the delivery and management of education and learning. And while we believe the teacher will not be replaced by machine by 2030, but still there's a need for a dynamic review of how AI will transform the teacher's role. I will skip this one for the timing. And according to the Policy Foresight report, they suggest that AI in the next few years will change really the learning, teaching, and education. The speed of change will be very fast, and it will create very high pressure to transform education practices in institutions and policies. It is therefore, it's very important to understand the potential impact of AI in learning and teaching and education, as well as on policy developments. This is from UNESCO, the quote. If you review the research literature, huge amount of research are talking about the positive effect of AI in education. I will not go through it. If you need it later on, you can have it. Go to the next. Here, this table, it really brief the major educational challenges and how AI solution provide the best solution for those educational challenges, such as educational system looking for a standardized type of curriculum that cater to individual needs. In the AI solution, it's able to provide actually adaptive, personalized learning according to the learner's need, according to the learner preferences, etc. As well, the major change of education is to provide one-to-one tutor, because the time is very limited. Within AI, we can have like a personal virtual tutor, like that help the learner go through his learning and to solve his difficulties. Education system have challenges regarding grading and assessment. They think it is time consuming. And AI can assist actually by open-ended question in real time, help to correct the mistake questions. And I have some example. I will show you how this one is done. As well, the large size of in the classes, most of them are with large size of students. Their questions are not answered. Within the AI system, virtual classroom assistant will help to guide the learners. The other challenges is how to provide personalized communication, because it's very limited in the normal scenario. But with AI, chatbot and natural language processing could be used for this regard. The other thing, difficulties. So the other difficulty is the increasing drop rate in certain universities. It could be used AI sentiment analysis in order to predict the view of the student within the institute or certain colleges, and that one can give us a prediction before the student drop out. The need to effectively combat plagiarism and ensuring authorship. So NLP and text analytics, they can work well on this one to ensure the pattern within the answers of the student and to detect if there is any plagiarism.
Doctor, we have one more minute left. So which slide would you like us to focus so that we can get the largest impact?
I put actually several examples, international example.
Can we go to the examples? Maybe, yeah. So maybe we take an example straight away so that you can explain to us. I'll give you the time to do that, and then we'll get the rest of the discussion.
Okay. So this is one example, like a natural language generation. It could be used to automatically generate assignment question, course material, teaching resources. So the demand of instructor to prepare all these, it will be given to the machine, to the AI agent, and it will prepare. Or I prefer to go to the last two slides, maybe, so when you get the.
Yeah, we're doing that.
So this one, each tool within AI and how can be utilized within the educational, with the biometric in examinations. So all these are examples. This one is from Kuwait actually, and yeah, that one, the previous one, please. Before this one, yeah. So how to start implementing AI? So we need actually to identify your needs and AI technology that will be used. So how to start? What are the major needs and the thing that you can create a success story from it? You can start either with a simple chatbot with NLP. We need to determine the strategic objective of the transformation that we need, like currently with the pandemic, the COVID-19, maybe we need a system that help us on assessing the student using AI agents and making sure students are not cheating from each other. So make the right culture, talent, and technology. And it's very important to give awareness to regarding the AI, so people are well prepared to use this technology. And it is very important to have a smart way to control the outcome of AI transformation. So it is important to create an environment for both human beings working with the AI agent side to side, It is very important to ensure the processes are transparent, to develop metrics for AI adoptions, and how far are we adopting AI in a proper way. We need as well to decide on a better utilization and better area where we can integrate AI on it.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We appreciate that. That was a fantastic session. We'll just, on the sake of time, we'll just go into commenting. I think we'll have a small discussion between ourselves in the next 10 minutes. We don't have a lot of questions. Only Muna Salmi wanted to see a platform that showcases the projects that are being done in Oman. I think this goes back mostly to the government side and maybe interacting very well. Maybe Khalil can take this, and if Ustad Hassan is still there, maybe he can look into it in relation to Dr. Zahra and Dr. Riyadh to see how can these tools be. How can we have a platform that describe these tools and see how can students and young Omani benefit from learning and innovating and getting better. This is a question from Muna is looking at, is there a platform where they can see all of these good things happening and can they use them to better themselves, if you like. So Khalil, I'll start with you.
Okay, well, I will take this question. In our action plan, actually this platform is a small initiative within the plan. It's already drafted, we write it, but we need to agree with our stakeholders. The timeline, of course, it will take time to prepare the platform and agree with the stakeholders, but it is there in our plan. Perfect.
Dr. Riyadh, what is your take on that? Do you think it's in terms of intellectual properties and worries about people's data, is there a possibility of getting them like organized in a way where there is a small portion where people can play with and gain from it?
I don't know about intellectual properties, to be honest. I don't know if that is really the enabler. To me, the enabler is to create labs like the one that Professor Mashiri was talking about. It's about having areas where you can have not only the experience of, building those experiences, solving real problems, but also connecting it to funding, because I think this is a key area that is missing. To have these VCs and those areas that it's not a one-off and it's only for a short period of time, but it's an ecosystem and an environment that enables all of this to happen. And to me, that is missing. And it really needs to be in place for us if we're really serious about this.
Excellent take. I'll just try to clarify my question a little bit, because basically I think what I was saying is that not in terms of worried about intellectual properties per se, but actually just trying to see if you can actually, because I understand some data could be sensitive. Is there a way we can create a small portion of data in a platform in conjunction with Ustad Khalil here and try to be able to allow people to interact with you, if you like, in the platform like that? This is just a future outlook. Just see what is your take on it.
No, I think that tends to be done all the time. PDO has something like, I forgot what they call it, but it's some kind of a lab where they do that and they bring in startups from Oman and across the world to come in and look at their data and solve problems. But it remains to be kind of like individual company, individual initiatives. It really needs to be much more centralized and actually even driven, so that companies beyond the OQs and the PDOs and the BPs become mandatory. The European Union has something like 2% of their GDP is by law supposed to be used in their R&D and this area. This needs to become a part of our corporate governance and our corporate CSR systems and so on and so forth.
Excellent take, Doctor. I love that. Dr. Zahra, what do you think? Maybe we can, this is in educational perspective. Do you think this is going to it's going to create a better drive into people understanding the real value of innovation? Because we understand, and especially in AI, if you like, and data science, because we understand there's normally issues in terms of people understanding the real entry point and exit point of entrepreneurship in this particular area. So what's your take, Dr. Zahra?
Yeah, the higher education institute, they are the creator of the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur, they need to be directed toward this area, toward the data scientists, toward AI. And the AI, it affecting all the area, all the field. It be used in the arts, used in science, used in medicine, used in the commerce. So all areas. So I am requesting that, to make like 10% or 20% of final year project of the student to be related to AI, whatever, if they are from the social studies or they are studying science or engineering or whatever, because AI is fitting all the industry. We need a multidisciplinary type of teaching while we are looking at AI. When I did my PhD in AI, it was in the School of Cognitive Science. So it is a multidisciplinary type of learning, because you need to know how the neural work in the brain. So you need to know the science of the brain, as well you need to be a computer scientist who know the programming. So you need to merge, you need to have the people who can work together from different fields. And SQU, actually, you have all those colleges with different disciplines. So how to create, to team them toward working on projects related to AI. They are finding new projects. A student from the social studies join a student from computer science or a medical field to provide us with certain product that will help us, will help Oman to proceed in this area.
Thank you very much. I think I will conclude with a small advice. I think that the whole concept is what I've gathered from what you guys have said. Oman is actually moving towards building a platform of enabling people to actually get into the fourth industrial revolution and looking into data science and AI. And obviously, from Dr. Zahra and Dr. Riyadh here, you need to work with the subject experts, and people needs to be explained in a very early stage that subject experts are the one who are going to drive the actual usability of the tools. And La Khalil and his team in the ministry are doing fantastic work, and they're trying to drive us, and we hope everybody will understand that. Since there's no more any comments, I'd like to close the session by thanking everybody, starting from the final panel. Dr. Zahra, Dr. Riyadh, Mr. Khalil, we are very, very appreciative to what you guys have done. This is very, very good. Also going back to our previous esteemed speakers, Mr. Hassan, the Professor Al-Mashan, you guys were fantastic. And Dr. Raja, we cannot say more. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. And any other questions, any interaction, please, Lamad is always alive, is always there, so you can always put your question, and we'll try to get to the speakers and ask them those questions. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yep. So we are done for today. Thank you very much.
يمكن لمجال الرعاية الصحية أن تستفيد بشكل كبير من مجال الذكاء الاصطناعي والتعلم الآلي، وذلك من خلال استخدام البيانات الضخمة الموجودة حاليا في المستشفيات. أيضا يمكن الاستفادة منها في مجال الصور الطبية في التشخيص وأيضا في اقتراح الخطة العلاجية. ذلك يساعد في تخفيف التكلفة المادية على المستشفيات وأيضا زيادة دقة في النتائج.
يتوقع أن يصل حجم سوق الذكاء الصناعي في العالم إلى 190 مليار دولار سنويا في العام 2025. جزء كبير من هذه الاستثمارات تصب في الأتمتة وفي تقليل العمالة البشرية اللازمة للقيام بمهام روتينية اللي ممكن استبدالها بكل بساطة بالذكاء الصناعي.
إن قضايا الذكاء الاصطناعي مثيرة للجدل عالميا فيما يخص الملكية الفكرية، فهذا النظام الذكي له المقدرة على التحليل واتخاذ القرارات وأيضا الاختراع، فهل يمكن أن يكون المخترع آلة أو نظام؟ وفي حالة التعدي فهل يحاسب النظام أم الذي أسسه؟ إن قضايا الذكاء الاصطناعي مثيرة للجدل عالميا فيما يخص الملكية الفكرية، فهذا النظام الذكي له المقدرة على التحليل واتخاذ القرارات وأيضا الاختراع، فهل يمكن أن يكون المخترع آلة أو نظام؟ وفي حالة التعدي فهل يحاسب النظام أم الذي أسسه؟